Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Ranking the Albums. Look who's here in the co-captain's chair today. He's got the shirt. He's got the image behind him. We're ranking Pallbearer today. And no, not Pallbearer, the late WWE manager of The Undertaker. No, we're talking about the band Pallbearer from Little Rock, Arkansas. I don't know, Jamie, what would you say? Kind of like a melodic progressive doom band, I guess. It's kind of, they're doom, but
Yes.
they're a little different, I think, than most doom bands.
Yeah, they are different. They might be an acquired taste a little bit more than some doom bands, but maybe not. I don't know. This was very difficult for me
Yeah.
because of their song structure, especially on the early albums. It's just hard to break them down. If we ever did Earthless, that would be way hard.
Which I just did yesterday.
Oh, I like that guitar solo better than that guitar solo. And this wasn't on that level, but it's still kind of difficult to break these down.
I did Earthless yesterday, and yeah, that wasn't easy.
Oh, you did an album ranking of Earthless?
I did
Yeah,
Earthless yesterday.
I can imagine it's very hard.
It is. And again, it's just, I think with Earthless, and again, not to deviate from this episode here today, with Earthless, it's more about like, which albums have the guitar solos that jack me up more than the other ones.
Yeah.
And which ones have those cool riffs that just like, totally knock me overboard. And that's kind of the way I went. This is different though, because I find like their first two albums sound a little bit different than their most recent albums, but all four of them are kind of very similar in a weird way. It's like they're very somber and melancholy, very melodic. They're really heavy at times, not so heavy at others, but the music's heavy, even if like the guitar riffs aren't like big and fat and doomy and crushing. And there's plenty of like little proggy bits and atmospheric stuff. And yeah, these guys aren't for everybody. Totally get it, because their music is a little on the depressing side, I would say, right?
This is doom metal for people who love despair and sadness.
Yes, without a doubt, without a doubt. But really good stuff. I mean, I dig it. I've seen them live before. They're a really good live band, and it's a cool catalog. It's not long, so we're only talking about 4 albums here, 4 full lengths. They have some EPs and split things and whatnot, but we're just gonna do the 4 full lengths. And so why don't we just dive into it? So Mr. Laszlo is going to kick us off with his number 4.
Number 4. Yep. And I'm surprised Despair and Sadness isn't one of their album titles.
Yeah,
it's not, but Sorrow and Extinction is. So close enough.
Yep.
I should let it be known that they got 4 albums, and I probably when I listen to Pallbearer, I probably grab each one 25% of the time. So I'm listening to these pretty evenly. So, but I had to put them in some kind of order. So I'm putting them in. Well, I'm not going to say accessibility, because my order probably isn't like that, but I'll go with this at number 4 because it is the most doomy of the 4. A band's first album usually is their most raw album, and they kind of, progress. Look at Mastodon, compare their latest album to their first album. A lot of bands have that kind of growth. So yeah, this was actually ranked number 1 in Pitchfork's top 40 metal albums of 2012, though. So that's pretty good. They are critics' darlings. Yep. Critics love these guys because they're way different. So yeah, I got them all on vinyl, and I love when I have them all on vinyl for shows, because I can hide my notes real easy. I can't do that with a CD. And I need notes for these because they're song titles, man. It's not like they have a chorus where they repeat the song title over and over. If they say the song title within the song, it's like in passing real quick. They give their songs the Led Zeppelin treatment. Led Zeppelin doesn't say Black Dog and Black Dog. In My Time of Dying is the first line of the song, and then they never say it again. So it's hard to remember what song is what when you just look at the list. So I got some notes here. Foreigner, big, bombastic. I saw them do that live. I saw these guys live a few years ago, and that was in the mix. And a lot of these depressing songs done live, they're not that depressing. You know, it's a fun atmosphere. No one's standing there wanting to slit their wrists watching these guys. It's a fun. They give them the songs almost a rock and roll element to them when they play them live, and very proggy too.
Yeah.
I would say they're a prog band when I saw them live. If I didn't know the albums, I'm like, oh, this is a prog band. The Void and Redemption, perfect example how you can be slow and fast at the same time. It's a very slow song, but the drums are kind of moving along as the slowness progresses. The Legend, whew, way doomy. This is a everything sucks kind of song, you know, but there's a nice guitar tone in the song that kind of is like a glimmer of hope, that kind of symbolizes a glimmer of hope for me anyways, and an offering of grief. These song titles, man, they are depressing. You got to be in the mood for this album with song titles like this and everything. This is a February album for me, you know, when you're sick of the coldness, the holidays were a long time ago, you're tired of it getting dark at 5:30 and you just want spring to come, throw this on. And it goes from an offering of grief to given to the grave. In case you thought they were gonna light things up for the last song, they do not. Yeah, it's slow, it's doomy, but the end is almost like a jam session.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys there. Yeah.
Yeah, for these guys. When I say certain things like like a pop song or something, I'm gonna mean it for these guys. It's that. So yeah, it's a very dreadful album. Meaning not that it's bad, meaning it's just kind of full of dread.
I would agree. It's also my number 4, Sorrow and Extinction. Yeah, I mean, as debuts go, it's arguably their heaviest album, right? I mean, I think it's definitely their most full-on doom album, and it's almost like there are parts of it, it's like funeral doom, you know, like really slow and depressing and like ominous. And you know, the production values of this album are very, very raw. I mean, you listen to this and then you listen to like the 2 most recent. It almost sounds like a different band, sort of. But I mean, you named a lot of all the songs. They're all really good. Foreigner is absolutely killer, and Offering of Grief is great. Just dripping with melancholy and sadness, and we get those big bass and guitar riffs. And I do like Given to the Grave quite a bit, because I think that is really different. And again, you mentioned it's kind of jammy. I mean, they have these long guitar solos, which they're not really known for. A lot of atmosphere. You get that kind of the second half of the song, the drumming kind of kicks into high gear. Love the vocals, I gotta say. And Brett Campbell sings on all of their albums, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, he's got a really, really, really good voice. Perfect for this sort of thing. It's funny though, because like there are other bands out there who play similar type of stuff to this, who do the more gruff and growly vocals. And it's almost like when you start to listen to these guys, you expect that, but it never comes. And I think they've made a nice little career of themselves doing this type of, you know, morose, melancholy, sad doom metal that's very melodic with these just absolutely gorgeous vocals, which you kind of don't expect. But and while his vocals on this album probably is the gruffest they're ever going to be, it's still very melodic, and he would just go on to get better and better with each one. But yeah, that's my number 4 as well.
Yes, especially on the early albums, he sounds like he's in pain sometimes.
Yeah, it's like
oh,
yeah.
You know, like why me kind of thing. Foundations of Burden is coming in next for me. You know, going into this exercise, I was thinking, oh, this is probably going to be my number 1. After I listened to them all in a row, which I've never done before. That was tough to do when it's summertime too, Pete. You know, I don't like listening to this in the summer, but I did, and I listened to all 4 in a row, and that was something. But Worlds Apart is a great opening on this album, and like I said, Brett Campbell sounds like he's in pain. Oh, Foundations, big, heavy, distorted riffs. It rocks though. I mean, a lot of these not in your, the melodies aren't in your face. The melodies in these songs are kind of hidden, and if you find them, you get lost in them. But you sometimes got to find them. They're not going to put it right in your face. Watch in the Dark, again, thundering riffs, and this song sounds like the weight of all the world's problems are on your shoulders. It's your fault, and he's yelling at you. It's your fault. The Ghost I Used to Be, the radio friendly song on this album, For Them. Again, For Them. Not really. It's not radio friendly at all, but it has a gallop. It has a bit of a gallop for them.
It does. Yep.
And it actually has gang vocals for a second. Pallbearer, gang vocals. Ashes, little 3-minute interlude, and then Vanish is the longest song on the album at 12 minutes. And the drummer, Mike Larley, I believe is how you would say his name, just killing it on the drums on this. And if I said his name, if I screw up any time on this video, Pete, it's not like a lot of, look, this is the thing. This video is going to get 1,500 views, probably, because it's a new band.
Yep.
And we're going to do a Hudson Valley Squares taping after this, which will get 15,000 views. And I just think that's a shame, because it would make my heart so warm if videos like this about newer bands got 15,000 views too, you know? But the only way for a video like this to get that many views is to have so many subscribers that Hudson Valley Squares is getting like 150,000 views. And then maybe we can get something like this to 15K. But
yeah,
hey, if you're watching, thumbs up to you. Cool.
That is true. Yeah. Yeah. It's, I mean, you know, the Heartless ranking that I did yesterday has got like 1,500 views. Probably won't do much more than that.
I didn't even see it. I didn't know it was out there.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's a holiday weekend, but, you know, people are like, you know, I mean, the truth of the matter is the majority of people who watch Sea of Tranquility are of a certain age where they stopped listening to new music 30 years ago. And that's, you know, that's the truth. Because I mean, you know, we've got 75,000 subscribers. We get 1 million people coming here a month, and only 1,500 people can watch an Earthless, you know, album ranking or this. It's just like, come on, guys, you know, let's be a little open to something, you know, a little bit new. That, because I mean, you put it absolutely right. Because on the Hudson Valley Squares, we're going to be talking about our top 5 Doom albums of all time, not named Black Sabbath, and some of the bands that we're going to be talking about that
this
people
would
are
fit in.
It's just like this, right? That's not much different. It's like if you like this band or these bands that we're going to talk about on Hudson Valley Squares, you would like these guys, right? It's that simple. So yeah. Unfortunately, that's the way the world is, right? So all we can do is keep doing these. That's really
plugging away.
Yep. You know. All right, my number 4. Well, we're neck and neck here. So Foundations of Burden is also my number 4 from 2014 for all the reasons that Jamie mentioned. Worlds Apart. Dark, menacing, doomy, love it. Foundations was like, I think the first song like of any of these that really has like a chug. I mean, this is not one of those bands that does like a galloping chug on the guitars, and that definitely is it. Watcher in the Dark is big, ominous kind of funeral style doom. Ghost I Used to Be, love the haunting vocals. It just, again, he's like, it's like tearing out your soul. I mean, he's just so anguished. You're like feeling it right along next to him. And, you know, every song on here is really good. It's funny because like, if I didn't like love this type of stuff so much, I'd say like, this is some of the most depressing shit you'll ever hear, and like a real downer of an album, but I like doom, so it doesn't bother me. And these albums are so well done. So yeah, I mean, it's number 3, but it's really good. So I think we could be safe to say that for those of you watching who are going to get done with this and be like, well, what's the best place to start? Any of them. They're all really good. There's not much that separates these, in my opinion.
And this is where I came into the band too,
Gotcha.
2014. I tell you what, I'm going to say this tonight on Hudson Valley Squares as well. There's different eras of rock music, different movements, kind of in a way. You got the British Invasion, you know, the change music. You got, you know, almost like Van Halen dropping their album was almost like a movement in its own. Yeah, you know, you got the glam metal scene, and then came grunge. And after the 90s, I was always waiting for the next big thing to happen. It's going to be so cool. And it just never happened, really. Yeah. Maybe it happened and I wasn't into it and didn't even notice it. Maybe pop punk was it. Maybe emo was it. And I just didn't give a shit enough. But for me, these bands that started to emerge 15 years ago, these doom metal bands, these stoner rock bands, you know, things like The Sword and Cadaver, that was they didn't like change the world, but they changed my world, and they made me get excited about new music again. So that was my kind of movement, like that personal movement. And tonight, 4 of my 5 albums are from that era, newer albums.
That's very cool. That's great though.
So I'm going next with, we might be different on this one. I think this was, well, maybe it might be the same. Going with the newest one, Forgotten Days from 2020. One of those pandemic albums that I got during the pandemic. All those albums that were released during the pandemic years, I always associate with those 2 years. Shorter songs on this album, way shorter. And they say the names, the titles of the songs, they actually repeat in a few of the songs. Oh, it'll be top hits in no time, Pete. They'll be on the radio, top 40 in no time.
Yes, indeed.
Right next to Beyonce, Pallbearer.
You never know. You never know.
Hey, if I would have told you 18 years ago Mastodon would be on the radio, you would have called me nuts.
Exactly. Yep. You never know.
So Forgotten Days comes in, you know, as a newer album. If you're worried that they weren't going to be as heavy, they're still pretty heavy. Maybe the production's a little bit more polished, a little bit. Maybe the song structures don't go in 1,000 different directions and wail on and on for 12 minutes as they did on earlier albums, but the heaviness is still there. Riverbed is a song that's staying in the pocket, you know. I think they're getting the songs are getting shorter. They might be becoming better songwriters though. And then you got Stasis, which is a 4-minute little ditty.
Yep.
Wow. And you hear them say the name of the song over and over. These songs got choruses. Silver Wings, that's the big long epic on here. You know, it's filled with the sorrow, but it's rounded off around the edges. You know, when I first got this album, I found it kind of boring, but it has since grew on me up to my number 2 spot now. Then the Quicksand of Existing, a bit of a gallop, almost you're bobbing your head a little bit to this song. That goes right into Vengeance and Ruination. It's like one song, those 2 songs. They go right into one another. And that keeps the momentum up. And then Rite of Passage, got the big Pallbearer riffs and the chorus that says the Rite of Passage over and over. And Caledonia. Look at that. I actually know how they say the name of the song in the song. They got an earworm here. Wow, look at that. Yeah, it's as heavy as the other albums, I would say, but not as challenging to listen to, you know. So,
yeah, you said a lot of stuff that I was going to say as well. It's also my number 2, so we basically our ranking is exactly the same.
Could have done this show by yourself.
Yeah, you know, I mean, but that wouldn't be as much fun. This album is definitely, I think, a little more, I don't even want to say polished, because it's not. It's a little more accessible to the ears, I think. There's a lot of bottom end and groove on this album, which I don't get as much of on some of the other albums. It's almost like they're trying to make their songs a little easier to listen to. There's lots of textures, lots of cool haunting melodies on here. There's definitely lots of proggy bits, and I think there's less big riffy songs on this album, though they are here. I don't think this album is as heavy as the other ones. That's not necessarily a bad thing though. And I mean, you know, like Rite of Passage is probably as straightforward a rock or metal song as these guys are ever going to do, but it still sounds like Pallbearer. Silver Wings is total prog to me. Love it. A lot of little textures and nuances and things. You know, Riverbed is great. I mean, you mentioned the title track is awesome. I like it a lot. I almost went with this with my number 1, but I think we both, feel probably that our number 1s, it's just a little bit more special, I think, than the other 3. But this is good. You know, for someone who's never listened to this band before, and they may or may not be big Doom fans, I would probably steer them towards this one to listen to first. Even though it maybe isn't as indicative of their other 3, I think this is probably the easier album to get into out of all of them. I think. I don't know.
And you know, album number 5 is even going to be a little bit more easy on the ear.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
They're going to go that direction.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Probably. Well, we know what number one is.
Heartless. There you go. Yeah, I think it's got the easy on the air type of thing, but also a lot of the edginess and weirdness of the other albums. So it's kind of the best of both worlds kind of thing going on. You like that, Center?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Whatever the hell it is. I love the cover too. The cover is like it's this guy coming. I mean, this like man mountain or whatever it is. I don't know. It's pretty cool. I love the cover.
Yeah, it is very cool. It is. I was very excited. I remember when they like a few weeks before this got released, I was like, new Pallbearer. I saw the end, accessible, kind of. It reminds me of a lot of Chemist songs, you know, a lot of melodies on it, groove, and Brett Campbell actually gives you in the middle of the song, and oh yeah, don't you mean oh no? Where's this positivity coming from? How dare you? Oh yeah. No, but it works. It's great. Thorns, another song that's kind of accessible, you know, it's got a chugga guitar going on in it. Lie of Survival. Yeah, you see here on album number 3 that emphasis on songwriting coming into play. Dancing Madness is interesting because it comes in sounding so clean and has these clean keyboards, but then the vocals are something, man. They're not harsh, but they're like swirling, and there's almost coming from another song, and it's jarring and it's kind of ugly. But if it was in the right song, the proper song, it would be beautiful. But because the vocals are in this song, it comes off as ugly. That was a grower on me, and I saw them do it live, and that helped cement it. That, you know, great song. Cruel Road, upbeat, almost speed metal again.
Yep.
For them. Always think that. Heartless, great melodies, good riffs. Plea for Understanding, big beautiful opening, and then it's got this gentle singing where it almost sounds like a Ghost song, like an early Ghost song. I think it's Brett's best vocal performance, and it's 13 minutes long, that song. I think because of the big intro they do, it only feels like it's like 6 or 7 minutes long. It doesn't feel 13. So yeah, little cleaner album than the first 2, but not as clean as album number 4. So there you go.
A lot of epic stuff on this album, like long tracks and they go in lots of different places. Is it me? I mean, on the title track, I almost hear a little Opeth, like Opeth circa maybe Blackwater Park or Ghost Reveries. You know, it's got that kind of heavy prog folk metal type thing going on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, and there are parts of this album that are really heavy, but like when you listen to them again, you're like, yeah, it's heavy, but it's not overly heavy. Like this band at times, it's like, you know, you're listening to them and you're like, yeah, this is really heavy stuff. But then you're like analyzing and you're like, but it's really not. It's not like this is not like Cathedral heavy or, you know, Candlemass heavy at times. But the music, because it's like so downbeat, it feels really heavy.
And dense.
Yeah, really dense. But again, his vocals on this, I think this is for me, this is the album where he really came into his own on the vocal front. And there's just an epicness to this album I really like a lot. And, you know, it's got its share of guitar solos and long songs with all sorts of kind of cool, you know, instrumental things going on. And yeah, it's just a really good one. But, you know, like I said, not a lot separates these. So
no,
they're all winners in my book. So whether you want to start with these 2 or start with the first 2, and they're all worth getting, and there is only 4 of them. So,
well, I would like to add their EP.
Yeah,
it's really cool. It's what the hell is it called? Fear and Fury, I think. Yeah, and it has that one song on it that's really good, which is their own song. But they do a cover of "Love You to Death" by Typo Negative. And even if you never knew the song, but you know the band and you heard them do it, you go, "Oh, that is a Typo Negative song." They keep it true, and they do a badass version of Black Sabbath's Over and Over. I remember when this came out, the wife and I went on a road trip and I played Over and Over over
Over and
and
over.
over on the road trip. Yeah, it is badass. So start there. You guys know that song. You know Black Sabbath. You know Over and Over. You love Dio. Start there, and then try something else.
There you go. There's not a lot of them, so wherever you start is a good place to start.
Yep.
So, cool. Well, there you have it, everybody. If you are a fan of Pallbearer and you know these albums well, rank them in the order that you like them down in the comments below. And if you're new to the band and you've stayed with us here on this short little ranking video, go out and check them out. Come back, report. Let us know what you think. I think this would be a cool band for you folks who like Doom. Melodic Doom. I think you dig these guys. So I want to thank Jamie for re-listening to the catalog as well. And
in the summer.
In the summertime. I know, yeah, not really a summer band, but it's more like a kind of late fall band, I think, right?
Yeah, February for me, definitely.
Yeah, I would say for me, like November, early December, perfect for this type of music. But regardless, visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. All together, all the damn time. Stay tuned for more stuff coming up here on the channel. For Jamie Laszlo, I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you real soon. Take care.